head over to miniaturemarket.com where we have thousands of board games at discounted prices like Living Forest. Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here. Today we're going out to the forest where it's beautiful sun shining, lots of beautiful little critters that are our guardians. There's fire, there's wind, there's water. Today we're taking a look at Living Forest, where this game just not only got nominated, but just won the Kennerspiel de Jahres, which is one of the biggest awards in board gaming each year. So let me give you a review and I'll tell you what I think on the other side. Living Forest is an enchanting world with these beautiful cards with these glowing styled creatures, or guardians as they're called, and you're going to be using these to sort of press your luck, to build your deck, to engine build, and to take different actions. So let's go over how the game works. This essentially is a racing game, and whoever gets to one of the 3 victory conditions first wins. One of them, each player has their own board. You start with a tree, and over the course of the game, one of the things you can do, and strategies, is to build trees here. And if you ever get 12 trees, well, that's one of the ways to win the game. There's also a central spirits board where each player will have a pawn that will be moving around taking actions, but there's going to be fire here and you're going to be trying to extinguish this fire. And when you extinguish it, you'll get to collect it. And if you collect 12 fire tokens first, you'll also be able to win. Now each round, at the beginning of the round, players are going to take their own deck. They're going to shuffle up at the beginning and they're going to start flipping over cards, pressing their luck. And these cards are not only going to look beautiful, but they're also going to give you some actions or possibly this icon. And that's the 3rd victory condition. I told you there's 3 ways to win, possibly racing. And if you're ever able to have a total of 12 of this sort of victory point icon, both in your cards and things on your board and trees and things like that, then you'll win. So what you'll do is you'll flip this over and then we'll flip over another card. Now you'll notice it has this icon here. That's a bad one. If you ever get 3 of those, you will bust. And that's bad. It's not the end of the world, because normally what's going to happen is, let's just keep flipping some of these over and go like this. Now let's condense this down just a little bit so we can see some more cards. So I flipped over another card, right? We have this one bad icon. We have this. Now look at this. This is going to give you power towards certain different actions in the game. Some cards actually give you minus. So you're not just pressing as far as you can, because you might have what you need to do for that turn's action and stop before you even get any more of these icons, because now I've got -2 for that specific action. We'll go over what these mean in just a moment. So you'll flip over another one. Let's put it like this. Okay, well, now we have a second one. Like, oh, you know what? Should we push? Maybe we push one more. And you bring this up, it's like, okay, we didn't bust. If we had gotten a 3rd one of these, we would have busted and only been able to take 1 action. But let's just stop, okay? Now we get to take 2 actions. Now, everyone's doing this simultaneously, and now the player with the starting tree, this moves around clockwise every round, gets to take their actions. In this case, there's 2 different actions that we can take. Now, from here, we basically have 1, 2, 3 different rows of actions, if you will. And let's go over what these are. This essentially is currency to buy more guardians. So we have 2, -2, +1. We only have 1. And we see 3 rows of guardians. This, like the beginning ones, the middle ones, and the end ones. And the costs go up in each of the rows. So I only had 1. I don't have enough to afford any of these, but that's not going to be my strategy this turn, but it might be in the next turn. Now, if you do end up buying one of these, let's say I had 5 of those to spend, I could put this card and I would put it right on top of my pile, meaning you don't have to wait for it to come back like normal deck building. You'll get to get it next turn. Now this is actually a good icon. Now I showed you earlier that when we're pressing our luck, that's a bad one. If you get 3 of those, you bust. But if you have 1 of these in your pile, it cancels one of those, so it will allow you to press your luck even further, but it comes at a cost, because look at this, it's giving you -3 towards purchasing something later. And some of these, actually all of these ones have -1s here, but they allow you to do other things. And the better cards, look at these things, 4 water, 1 of these, or 1 of these and 3 movements, things like that. They get better and better as you buy them. So that would have been this action, but we're not going to take that this turn. Now we're going to go here, 1, 2, 3. We have 3 water. Now there's only 1 fire here at the beginning of the game here, and it's a level 2, which means I could spend 2 and get those. Now if I had, let's say, 5 water, I could take out a 3 and a 2 if it was there and collect both of them. It doesn't matter. Now, again, this is one of the victory conditions. So if I spend that water, I'm going to collect this, put it face down in front of me, and this essentially is one of the 12 fire I need to win the game. There's some ramifications of what this does to the end of the round. I'll show you later. So we've taken 1 action. Now we're going to take our second action, and we're going to do planting. So here we have 2, 3, 4 towards this. Now here's this beautiful display of different trees you can get, and the costs are here. Now remember, we have 4 to spend, so I could have gotten this one, this one, this one, or this one. Well, what do these give you? it shows you right here what they give you. There's going to be one towards spending to get guardians, one towards the water, one towards moving that I haven't shown you yet, and then one towards that sort of other end goal, which is basically kind of sort of like points. So let's say we wanted to focus on water this game at the beginning. I would buy this here. Now you can only buy one of these per turn regardless of how much planting you have. And then you'll place that orthogonally adjacent to any other tile that you have. So right now it has to be 1, 2, 3, or 4. Now I could build off here, 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 or here next time. So what does this do? Well, I now always have an additional water every turn, right, that I can use. That's pretty cool. So as you're getting those different tiles, you're getting different abilities. Now, if you ever fill up a row, let's say next turn I get this, well, not only do I get one more to spend every turn, but now that I finish this column, I also get an additional one. So now I have 2 extra things to spend every turn. If you complete this row, you have 2 towards that sort of 12 points if you get on any one turn you win. Then as you start working out, you'll have some one-time, big-time bonuses out on the corners as well. So, and again, one of the victory conditions is to have 12 trees. Now let's say we pushed our luck a little bit more and we got this symbol, and then we pushed our luck, oh, you know what, we got 3 of those, we busted. So we would have only gotten 1 action this turn. But let's say we're going to do this. This is the final action I haven't shown you. This is sort of moving on the spirit board, in this case, 2. So you would move, there's certain starting spots depending on the player count, and you can move up to 2. If I moved 2, this would allow me to take an additional action of that spending currency. So essentially I could have gotten another action, but I didn't really have a lot of spending power this round anyway, so you could have stopped here gaining one of these fragments like this. Now these things are cool because if I had spent this, I could have taken the last card I just drew and put it in my discard pile, and I could have kept pressing my luck. So they're sort of like one-time use, and they allow you to get rid of things that you have drawn. Now, there's one more important aspect of the game is that everyone starts with 3 victory tiles. Again, if you have 12 of these displayed on your cards for a turn, and or here, and or on your board, like if you finish this row, you'll win the game that round. Again, this one counts as one of the 12 fires, this counts as one of the 12 trees, but let's say if you're moving around the spirits, let's say this is how it looked and I had 2 movement. I would go 1, 2, I would get to take one of this player's victory point markers. So great, I collected 1 this turn. Let's say I jumped over them, I got this. I now have 1, 2, 3 of these, but again, these are finite because if someone passes you on that track, they can take it. They can take one of yours no matter who owns it. Now after everyone has taken all their actions in clockwise order, we go to the end of the game turn. Now let's say that there was still fire here. It adds up to 5. We would then look at how much water we had. Let's say we had 1, 2, 3, and again, let's say we have this one, which is 4. So 4 is less than 5, so we would have to take one of these bad cards, 1 for each tile that's there. We'd have to take 2 of them. So you have to take one of these cards, put them in your discard pile, and these do nothing but clog up your deck and give you more chances to bust. However, when you play one of these, you can play a fragment if you have one to get rid of it and put it back in this pile. But let's say instead it looked like this. I had 4 water, I have enough. Maybe all the other players did not have enough. Then all the other players are going to have to take one of those cards and I'm not. So this is a very interesting strategy in the game where you're looking at how much water other players have and you're looking at how much you have and how much is here, and maybe you decide not to get a certain amount of fires this round because it's still going to give you a fire, but then maybe screw everybody else up, clogging up their deck. Interesting strategies. Now another interesting strategy in the game is how many cards do you buy in other players collectively? Because look at this, at the end of the round, 1 was bought from this row, 2 was bought from this row. So the fire, 1 of these 2s is going to be added, and 2 of these 3s are going to be added. Wow, now look what's happened. So you could strategize of, hey, if I'm trying to get a lot of fire and there's not a lot there, I might want to start buying a bunch of cards if I can, because that's going to put more fire in there, giving me more options and abilities to get fire to get there. Or if someone's close to winning with the fire, you're going to be trying to stop them by playing water to get these down, or purposely not buying cards so no more fire gets added. A lot of little subtle strategies in this game. Now at the end of everyone's actions, if anybody has any one of those 3 victory conditions, 12 fires, 12 trees, including your victory tiles, or 12 of those sort of points between your board, tiles, and cards, well, that player is the winner. And if more than one player has done a victory condition, each of those tied players add up all 3 victory conditions, and whoever is the highest is the winner. All right, first of all, let's talk about what I liked about the game. The game definitely has beautiful art, and I call it beautiful glowing art because the different cards as I showed in the overview, like some of the critters have a lot of this little glowing aspect to them, and it just gives it sort of a whimsical look. I'm a really big fan of the art. I think it looks great on the table. And speaking of the table, this game has a very colorful and 3-dimensional table presence. People walking by this are definitely going to stop and go, ooh, this looks nice. What is this? What are these little things? The little things holding all the little tiles. They could have easily just been 2 stacks on the table. Those things are totally not necessary, but it kind of adds to the toy factor. It adds to just the table presence. It does kind of help display those better so they're easier to see. Not necessary, but nice. So extra, props there for production, making the game try to stand out. Now, I like the simultaneous play in this. I always like that in a game where it moves really fast. This does that because, half of the game you're basically pushing your luck, doing your own thing, and you're waiting, and then everyone's pretty much usually finishing right around the same time. I like that they figured out how to do that all at the same time so it doesn't bog down waiting for someone to take their turn. And I like the pressure luck element. It's not just, I'm going to push till I get 2 of those things and I'm going to stop. You think that's it. You think well, there's no good choices. You just go till you get 2, and then maybe you press your luck. Now, this is pretty much the same mechanism that I saw in Mystic Vale. It's more forgiving here, more family friendly, because, if you bust, you still get to take an action. You just don't get to take 2. So, we've seen this before, nothing new here, but I like that you don't, it's not just, I'm going to press my luck till I get 2 of them, and then maybe I'll press or not. Because sometimes you're going to want to stop before that, because you might have a specific thing that you want to do that round, and you've got what you need, and you don't need to press any further because some of those cards have minuses. You might be like, hey, I need to afford this card that's worth 6. I've got 6. That's my main objective this turn. I'm going to stop. Because you might pull up something that says -2, and you're like, oh, crap, now I can't get it. Now I got to push. Now I got to push. Now I bust. So I like that there's some interesting decisions that you don't necessarily always have to go as far as you can. Sometimes you want to stop early because of those negatives in those cards. The engine building, you're getting these different critters and these different guardians, and you're building an engine towards some certain strategies and getting things, and you're getting better and better as the game goes on. I love that you can manipulate the fire based on what other players are doing. You're looking at how much water you have. You're looking at how many fire tokens are out there. You're looking at what the other players have and how much water they have, and you're going, if I don't do anything, they're going to end up getting a couple of those cards, and I'm going to be okay. If I get one of these, it's still going to have my go, but they're still going to have to take one of those cards, and I'm not. I like that you can sort of change your decision based upon what others are going to do and how many bad cards they might be getting. Cool little subtle strategies here with that. I like the spatial element of when you're taking the different trees and you're putting them on the board. You're trying to build like rows or columns. You might start on a certain thing to start a strategy and then maybe get that. Or like the last game I played, I started down one strategy of trying to get sort of that middle row for the extra points. But I realized I wasn't going towards that, so then I had to changed, and I went for the column for the water, then I went to the corner for the water, and things like that. I like that you have that spatial element, and I love that you're trying to move around the board, getting extra actions, but mostly trying to hop over the other players, catch up to them, hop over them, because if you do, you get to gain one of their victory tiles, and that could be the difference in the game. You might hop over someone, take that tile, boom, I've got my 12th fire. The game's gonna be over if you don't end up hopping over me by the end of this turn, And I like that aspect. There's a tension to the race because it could end, and a lot of those interactions and hopping over can cause that. But I like to have to create a backup plan, because if someone sees you getting close, they're gonna start policing you. You're getting close to 12 fires, people are gonna start taking the fire with the water, whether or not they really need it, just to stop you. And then you're gonna have to try to pivot and try to get to a secondary plan, and I like that aspect of it. So overall, I enjoyed the game. There wasn't anything that I actually disliked. But for me, it really just didn't stand out to me. It's not one that I'm like, oh, I'm just dying to play this again. It's as nice as it is, and the production and everything just smooth and it flowed. It was rather, after 2 years from now, I'm not even gonna remember this was nominated. I'm gonna forget about this game. It just didn't stand out for me. Now, other people have liked it more than me, but for me, it was just like, it's okay, it's fine. If you wanted to play it and you really loved it, I'd play it with you, it's fine. I enjoyed it. It's just not one that stood out. So it really has me head scratching with the nomination of this for the Kennerspiel. Not only just the nomination, but it won, and now I realize the Kennerspiel, typically the heaviest game never wins. Arnak should have won last year, didn't win. Dune Imperium, great game. I pretty much thought it was too heavy for this. Cryptid is like a great little middle area where it's like, it's light in mechanisms, but thinky. I feel like that should have won for sure. Plus I'm biased because that was my game of the year that year. But it came out many years ago. But I think Cryptid should have won. This, usually, when the Spiel des Jahres is nominated, comes out, both of them, if I haven't played any of those, I rush out and figure out a way to get them and get it. Top 10, for example. That was a game that was nominated for the Spiel des Jahres. Nobody had heard about over here in North America. There's no English version. I went online and bought a copy from France, imported it in, played it, and I was pleasantly surprised. And I put out a video about, hey, here's my reaction to that after I already made my predictions. This one, I didn't even care to go out and get it because I was so sure that it wasn't going to win. I was like, whatever. And then it won. And I'm like, so that day I went and bought it, brought it home, played a bunch. And here now I'm just like, okay, now I know what, it's just so weird. Like, I'm surprised. So surprised I didn't even care about it. And I did play it and I'm like, it's good. It really is good. But to be the best game for the connoisseur game, I don't get it. I mean, even look at like Meadow. Meadow's a great nature-themed game. Not that they needed to put a nature-themed game there, but it's similar to that. It's a little heavier than this. Not as heavier as the other two games, but has a lot of interesting things like this. I think Meadow would have been a great choice for this, to win this award from last year. Now again, I don't know if it actually came out in Germany in time and all that sort of stuff, but so in the end, I like the game. This is a positive review. A lot of people are gonna like this game. I just think today, if you're not amazing, you're not standing out. There's too many games around here. Nice looking game, it's fine. Nothing wrong with it. Nothing I actually strongly disliked. It's just, okay, it's fine, it's okay. And that's most of the games that come through here, and that's okay. But to be the winner or even nominated for this Kennerspiel, I'm still scratching my head on this one. I'm not sure what the jury was thinking here. So that's pretty much what I think here. This is the Game Boy Geek, breaking down barriers, growing relationships through board games, but helping you find the next one you'll love. Game Toppers not only transforms your existing table to a high-quality gaming solution, they now offer full leg kits and dining cover solutions for the full table application. Paired with their amazing, thematic, premium stitch edge mats from noted board game artists like Vincent Dutray, collapsible cup holders, and really cool accessories, it's a complete system that upgrades every game you play. Go to GameToppersLLC.com or click the link below to late pledge for their latest Game Topper 3.5 Kickstarter campaign.